Today's topic is asphyxia. Asphyxia is a condition caused by the interference with the respiration or due to the lack of oxygen in the respired air, due to which the organ and tissues are deprived of oxygen. यहीं बैठ जाओ, गेट बंद कर देना डॉक्टर साहब. Now, asphyxia denotes a mode of death. It's not a cause of death. Mode of death is different from the cause of death. Cause of death is the ultimate cause which leads to the death of the person. But mode of death is the abnormal physiological condition of the body at the time of death which leads to the trigger of the death. So, asphyxia, coma and the syncope are the mode of death. And the cause of death is different from the mode of death. Syncope involves the heart, coma involves the brain, and asphyxia is related to the respiration or the lungs. Now, brain weight is about 1.4% of the total body weight, and it uses the 20% of the total available oxygen. Nervous tissues are affected first by the deficiency of oxygen, and their functions are distributed even by the mild oxygen lack. The neurons of the cerebral cortex will die within 3 to 7 minutes of complete lack of oxygen in the respired air, and other nerve cells remains alive for a longer period of time. Irreversible cortical damage occurs if the oxygen fails to perfuse in 7 to 9 minutes. Bar. In all form of asphyxia, hearts continue to beat for several minutes after stoppage of respiration. As a general thumb of rule, if respiration stops, then hearts can beat for 20 minutes. But if heart stops, then respiration can continue for 20 seconds. Now, types of asphyxia. Asphyxia includes anything which can derange the respiratory system or the oxygen flow. Excuse me. डॉक्टर गेट बंद कर दो और बाहर चले जाओ. So, in asphyxia, everything which hamper the flow of oxygen in the body is terms it's in their causes or the types. In the mechanical asphyxia or the mechanical type of asphyxia, everything air passages are blocked mechanically or by the outside. It can be compression of the neck, compression of the chest and the respiratory system, or the blockage of the air passages. So, closure of the external respiratory orifices or the closing of the nose and the mouth. It leads to, by the cloth, can leads to the smothering. Closure of air passages by the external pressure on the neck, for example, hanging, strangulation and throttling. Closure of air passages by the impaction of foreign body in the larynx or the pharynx, as in cases of choking. Prevention of air due to the air passages being filled with the fluid. Example is in the drowning. External compression of the chest and abdominal wall, interfering with the respiratory movement, as in cases of traumatic asphyxia. डॉक्टर तीनों बाहर चले जाइए अब. Green, blue and black. Next is the pathological causes. Mechanical is the outside or by the external pressure interfere with the respiration. In the pathological, entry of oxygen in the lungs is prevented by disease or the disease of the upper respiratory tract or of the lungs. For example, bronchitis, acute edema of glottis, laryngeal spasm, tumor and abscess of the respiratory tract. Paralysis of the respiratory muscles may result from the acute poliomyelitis. Toxic includes the poison substance prevent the use of oxygen. It's mainly concentrated in the environmental forms. The capacity of hemoglobin to bind oxygen is reduced in cases of poisoning by the carbon monoxide. The enzymatic process by which the oxygen in the blood is utilized by the tissue is blocked, as in cases of cyanide. Cyanide interfere with the flow of oxygen into the tissues. Respiratory center may be paralyzed by the poisoning of opium, barbiturates and strychnine. The muscles of respiration may be paralyzed by poisoning by the gelsemium. Now environmental. Environmental is the insufficiency of oxygen in the inspired air. For example, in cases of closed space or trapping in the refrigerator or in the trunks. In this, the oxygen in the environment is reduced. Exposure to the irrespirable gases in the atmosphere like sewer gas, carbon monoxide and the carbon dioxide. These leads to the lack of oxygen in the respired air, ultimately leads to the asphyxia. Traumatic includes the pulmonary thromboembolism from femoral vein thrombosis due to injury to the lower limbs. Pulmonary fat embolism can occur due to the fracture of the long bones, and pulmonary air embolism can also occur due to the injury over the major vessels like the incision over the jugular veins. Bilateral pneumothorax from injuries to the chest wall or lungs can also occur. Next is the postural asphyxia. This is seen where an unconscious or an stuporous person, either from alcohol, drug or disease, lies with the upper half of body lower than the remainder half of the body. In this, the posture of the person is that it blocks the respiration or the flow of oxygen into the respiratory tract. Mostly these cases are seen in cases of alcoholics or the person under the effect of some drugs or the alcohol. In this, the half of a person's body is lying below the bed or the upper level, and half of the body is different level or in the bed. It leads to the blockage of passages or the compression over the chest, ultimately leads to the asphyxia. Iatrogenic is mainly associated with anesthesia. For example, in general anesthesia cases, first of all we sedate the person and block the respiratory efforts of the person. Then we give mechanical intubation to support the respiration. Now pathology. Pathology is when the neck is compressed, occlusion of the jugular veins prevents venous drainage from the head, but the arterial supply continues through the carotid and the vertebral artery. When the air passages are occluded, the impaired oxygenation in the lungs causes decrease in oxygen content of the arterial blood. Reduction in the oxygen tension causes capillary dilatation, which leads to the stagnation of blood in the organs or the capillovenous engorgement. Blood stasis causes congestion of organs and venous return to the heart is decreased, leading to the anoxia, and which causes capillary dilatation, and this cycle of stasis and the engorgement continues. Now, as seen in this flow diagram, first of all, due to asphyxia. Now, due to the asphyxia, there is decrease in the oxygen tension in the blood. This leads to the dilatation of the capillaries. As the capillary dilate, there is stasis or the stagnation of the blood in the capillaries. Due to the stagnation of the blood, capillaries are engorged due to the more amount of blood. This leads to the stasis of blood in the respective organs from the capillaries. Due to the stagnation in the organs, venous return of the heart is decreased because most of the blood was staying in the organs. Due to the decreased venous return in the heart, pulmonary flow of the blood is decreased. This leads to the deficient oxygenation in the lungs and ultimately leads to the asphyxia. This cycle continues, and the vicious cycle of asphyxia continues till the death of the person if the symptoms are not reversed. Now, asphyxial stigmata. Asphyxia is not a pathological entity and cannot be clearly recognized from morbid anatomical finding alone. The triad of cyanosis, facial, palpebral, bulbar, subpleural and subpericardial petechial hemorrhages and the visceral congestion. These are the stigmata or the triad of the asphyxia. and these are merely consistent with but not the diagnosis of asphyxia or the anoxic anoxia. Reliable local indication of fatal obstructing trauma must be demonstrated to establish that death occurred due to the mechanical asphyxia. Parenchymatous degenerative changes develop in rapid hypoxic or rapid anoxic death, but these are all signs are non-specific. Now, petechial hemorrhages. Petechial hemorrhages occurs due to the raised venous pressure from the impaired venous return to the hearts, resulting in overdistension and rupture of the venules, especially in the legs tissues. A minimum of 15 to 30 seconds is required to produce congestion and the petechias. Petechias are 1.1 mm to 2 mm in size, and after this size it leads to the ecchymosis, not the petechial hemorrhages or the tardive spots. Petechias are seen in the skin, sclera, conjunctiva, outer and inner surface of the eyelids and on the mucosal surfaces of the mouth. These may be found in the substances of viscera, interlobar site of the lungs and interhilar region, and the white matter of the brain. Now, numerous petechias may be produced as a common autopsy artifacts. Now, petechial hemorrhages are non-specific sign which can lead to every asphyxial death. Get out. These are the petechial hemorrhages. These are not specific signs of an asphyxial death, but can occur in any type of death or as in post-mortem artifacts also. So, by considering the size and the location of the petechial hemorrhages along with other signs like congestion and mechanical obstruction or other types, we can deduce it as in corroborative signs, not a definite cause or definite signs of asphyxia death. Now, these in the first image, petechial hemorrhages was present over the upper eyelid, and next in the white matter of the brain, petechial hemorrhages or minute pinpoint spots are there. If these coalesces and form a bigger part, then it leads to the ecchymosis or the contusion of the organ or the tissues. But if these are pinpoint or up to 2 mm, then these are tardive spots or the petechial hemorrhages. Next is the congestion. Occurs due to the obstructed venous return and the capillovenous congestion. When the neck is compressed, face, lips and tongue become swollen and reddened. The increased CO2 tension in the blood causes capillary dilatation and loss of elasticity of the vascular walls, leading to the stasis of blood. Due to the stasis of blood was staying in the organs and leads to the congestion of organs. Increased capillary permeability probably results from the congestion of the combination of the stasis of the blood and the low oxygen concentration or the hypoxia. The increased capillary and venous permeability causes transudation of fluid into the tissues. In the beginning, the fluid or the transudates which are exuded in the tissues is removed by the lymphatic system. But if the hypoxia continues, then it can lead to the development of edema in the tissues. Edema of the lung is common and usually caused by the combination of hypoxia and raised pulmonary vessel pressure, and its presence indicates struggle or a survival for a time, because edema occurs after some time from the asphyxia or the hypoxia. Congestion and edema are non-specific and results due to the obstructed venous return. When the neck is compressed, face, lips, tongues become swollen and reddened. Next feature is the cyanosis. Cyanosis is the bluish discoloration. It can mimic the postmortem hypostasis or the postmortem lividity in the dead bodies, but is different in the cyanosis is the term generally used in the living persons. It is the bluish discoloration of the skin, mucous membrane and internal organs, follows congestion of the face, as venous blood contain much reduced hemoglobin. After perfusing the head and neck becomes more blue. In constriction of neck, cyanosis follows congestion of the face. If the airway is blocked, the impaired oxygenation of the lungs causes the decrease in oxygen content of the arterial blood, which causes darkening of all tissues and increase the cyanosis of the face. Now, oxygenated blood is bright red in color and deoxygenated blood is purplish blue in color. Cyanosis is marked in skin where hypostatic lividity or the stain develops. Cyanosis is evident on the lips, ears, tip of nose and the fingernails, cheek and internally on the organs, lungs, liver, spleen, kidney and the meninges. More than 5 grams per 100 ml of whole blood should be in reduced hemoglobin form to produce cyanosis at any time, regardless of the total hemoglobin level of the person. The essential cause of cyanosis is the diminished oxygen tension in the blood and with the rise of proportion of the reduced hemoglobin. Methemoglobin and self-methemoglobin also causes cyanosis. These two hemoglobins also leads to the amount of reduced hemoglobin and can lead to the cyanosis. So when carotid arteries are obstructed, intensity of cerebral, facial and orbital petechiae are more or less prominent and thence in cases of venous obstruction predominates. In sudden obstruction, facial pallor can be striking. If the obstruction is at the level of jugular vein, then it decreases the venous return. But if carotid arteries are blocked, then it leads to the sudden loss of blood or the sudden supply of blood. This leads to the pale skin or the pale face. But if venous blockage is there, then it leads to the cyanosis or the bluish discoloration of the face. Now, in light lungs, about 300 grams are more compatible with sudden rhythm disturbance and cessation of the action of the heart. Heavier lungs indicate cessation of respiration with continuation of heartbeat from several minutes. That's the thumb of rule. If heart stops, then respiration ends in 20 seconds. But if respiration stops, then heart can continue for 20 minutes. So if a heart beats for 20 minutes, then it can lead to the flow of blood to the lungs and leads to the increase in weight of the lungs. So these are the images showing the cyanosis of the fingers, tip of the tongues and the lips. Now if we see the histological changes in cases of asphyxial death, then partial disruption of the alveolar septa with the distinctive hemorrhages within the alveoli and the intra-alveolar edema fluid was there. Brick red discoloration of nerve cells in cerebral cortex seen in stained neurological section. Pallor and vacuolar degeneration of Purkinje cells in the cerebellum was also seen histopathologically. Vacuolar degeneration of liver cells are seen in prolonged suffocation cases. Now, sign and symptoms of asphyxia. These are divided into 3 stages. First is the stage of dyspnea, next is the stage of convulsion, and last is the stage of exhaustion. Now, stage of dyspnea is excess of carbon dioxide in the blood stimulate respiratory center, which leads to the increase in respiratory movements, blood pressure and the pulse rate is increased, and there is slight cyanosis was there. In the stage of dyspnea, person is start to feeling asphyxia. This leads to the drive of the body to wash out the carbon dioxide from the body. This leads to increase in the heart rate or the respiratory rate. In stage of convulsions, the efforts to breathe is mostly expiratory. In the stage of dyspnea, there is more inspiratory movements, and the stage of convulsion, more expiratory movements are there. Face is deeply congested, blood pressure is increased, pulse rate is fast, veins in the neck become swollen. There may be frequent convulsions which ceases as the victim becomes insensible and the reflexes are abolished or decreased. In stage of exhaustion, the respiratory center are paralyzed and the muscles becomes flaccid. This leads to the insensibility, reflexes are lost and the pupils are widely dilated. Respiration in this case is in gasping condition. These are long breaths of the inspiration with the long interval between the gasps. The blood pressure falls, muscle relaxes and respiration ceases, which leads to the death of the person. This whole process usually takes 3 to 5 minutes until the death commences. Now, postmortem features of the asphyxial deaths. These are mostly non-specific finding in cases of asphyxia, except in cases of mechanical features. Like externally, the face is either pale or the cyanosed. Pale if sudden blockage of the arteries are there, and the cyanosis in case of mostly jugular vessels are blocked. Ears and fingernails are bluish due to the cyanosis. Eyes are prominent, conjunctiva are congested, and pupils are dilated. The tongue is protruded out in most cases, with frothy and bloody mucus escapes from the mouth and the nostrils. Petechial hemorrhages, also known as Tardieu spots, are most marked where the mechanical regions capillary congestion is most prominent. Now, distribution of the Tardieu spots lies above the level of obstruction. They appear commonly in the scalp, eyelids, face in hanging and strangulation, and in the zone above the level of compression in the traumatic asphyxia. They are produced by simple mechanical obstruction to the venous return of blood from the part, resulting in acute rise in the venous pressure and over-distension of the thin-walled peripheral venules, especially in the legs, unsupported tissues such as forehead, skin behind the ears, eyelids, circumoral skin, conjunctiva and sclera, neck, buccal tissues, epiglottis, viscera, visceral pleura. These are not seen in cases of serous parietal pleura, only present over the visceral pleura. Pericardium, thymus in cases of children, and rarely in the serosa of the bowel. In many cases, unconsciousness can occur in several seconds after the asphyxia. Now, internally the blood is fluid in color and dark because of the increased amount of the carbon dioxide in the blood. The large veins are full of blood. Due to the stagnation and dilatation, veins are full of blood. Vessels may burst out in eardrum and nose, which leads to the bleeding from the orifices. The larynx and trachea are usually congested and contain a varying amount of slightly frothy mucus. Lungs are dark and purple in color due to the lack of oxygen, and if the back pressure persists, there is exudation of serous or the serosanguinous fluid in the alveoli, producing the edema. The amount of pulmonary edema doesn't indicate the time interval between the death and the injury. Now, abdominal viscera and brain, including sinuses, shows marked venous congestion as seen in the all organ in cases of asphyxial death, irrespective of hanging, strangulation or the environmental. There is widespread congestion of the organs, including the brain was there. These all organs are like blood was oozing out from there when you cut the organs. Tardieu spots are numerous where the capillaries are least firmly supported, as in subconjunctival tissues and pleura pericardial membranes, but they can appear almost anywhere in the degree of cyanosis and congestion. Asphyxia causes vomiting due to the medullary suboxia, due to which the air passages may be filled at the end of the asphyxial event by the inhaled vomit. This finding, especially in infants, should not be assumed as cause of death or the cause of asphyxia, as it may most likely be due to the result of asphyxia, not this causes the asphyxia. Now, in infants, we always infant or the mostly in cases of infants, after the feeding of the infant or the baby, we causes the burping of the baby, so that food can be digested and passed from the stomach to the intestine. But if we do not burp, or just we lay down the baby after the feeding or the infant after the feeding, then it can leads to the regurgitation of the milk or the fluid food into the windpipe. Similarly, in cases of asphyxia, due to the asphyxia or the movement, this can lead to the vomiting of the intestinal content or the stomach contents, which are confused due to the cause of asphyxia, not due to asphyxia. हमें लगता है कि वो जो वॉमिटिंग है या उसका जो एस्पिरेशन है, वो एस्पिरेशन है उसकी वजह से एस्फेक्सिया हुआ है, बट एस्फेक्सिया की वजह से भी हमारे एस्पिरेशन हो सकता है. Now, there is variation in the intensity of the asphyxial signs. When the asphyxial process is slight and prolonged, there is slow asphyxia. The congestive element will be diminished, and when intense and short, this leads to the marked congestion of the organs. If during the process of asphyxia heart failure occurs before respiratory failure, the asphyxial signs may be less marked depending on which stage the asphyxial process the cardiac arrest occurs. Sometimes findings are not sufficient to use the accurate term, and the cause of death has to be given within broad framework, such as consistent with the asphyxia, not especially due to asphyxia but consistent with the signs of asphyxia. कि हम इसमें डेफिनेटली नहीं कह सकते हैं कि ये एस्फेक्सिया की वजह से डेथ हुई है, बट जो इसके साइन सिम्टम्स हैं या बॉडी की फाइंडिंग है वो हमारे कंसिस्टेंट हैं एस्फेक्सिया से. सो इसमें हम डेफिनेट कॉज ऑफ डेथ नहीं देंगे, इसमें हम एक कोरोबोरेटिव कॉज ऑफ डेथ देंगे. In the presence of putrefaction, mechanical asphyxia is indicated by presence of petechial hemorrhages over the sclera and the facial skins. Now, delayed death. Delayed death in asphyxia, the higher cortical center suffers first from hypoxic injury, followed by the basal ganglia and ultimately the vegetative centers, which explain the delayed death in case of asphyxia. Such delayed death usually follows period of unconsciousness resulting from anoxic cerebral damage and subsequent hypostatic pneumonia. Other sequelae includes the massive subcutaneous and mediastinal emphysema for tracheal and the laryngeal lacerations, or occlusion of airways due to the edematous or hemorrhagic swelling of pharyngeal tissues, or the array epiglottic folds. When death occurs hours, days or week after the asphyxia, the approximate cause of death is the traumatic incidence of the asphyxia. Any question?